Womaninji, and welcome to the traditional lands of the Gunai people. We're here today on the Gippsland Lakes. The Gippsland Lakes are the traditional lands of the Tatangalang people, whose tribal lands extended right across the Gippsland Lake system. So it's a very important place for Gunai people, and obviously the Gippsland Lakes, with its natural resources, sustain the Gunai people, particularly the Tatangalang people, for many thousands of years. So very important culturally, but also as a part of our natural environment as well. So once again, Womaninji, and welcome to the traditional lands of the Tatangalang people on the Gippsland Lakes.
Gunai were regularly on the move. Canoes made from a single piece of river red gum bark, or stringy bark, softened over a fire and bent into shape with an axe, and tied at the ends, were used to travel the waterways, lakes and ocean. By better understanding the plants, wildlife and processes of the Gippsland Lakes, and addressing the pressures from humans and pest species, can improve the overall health of the lakes and conditions and animals that rely on them.
Well, the Burren are resident to the Gippsland Lakes, and there's only 65 of them here in the population. So they're only formally described and named in 2011 as a separate species, and we only have 2 known resident populations in Victoria, so that being here in the Gippsland Lakes, and then another small population in Port Phillip Bay. Now, only having 65 makes them very, they're already listed as endangered. So our main research questions are obviously to keep a track of the demographics of the population, so our calving rates, our numbers, make sure that they're all healthy and thriving, and to really track those over time so we can ascertain our population viability analysis. The second impact is having a look at the threatening processes that are going on here in the lakes. So one of our main research questions is how the vessels are impacting on the Burren and dolphins, so the levels of interaction. We do have regulations in place for vessels not to approach the dolphins, our wild animals. So it's 100 metres on a vessel, on a boat, and 300 metres on a jet ski. There's a number of different things that can help us spot the dolphins. Whilst we'd love to be out on the water here all the time, it's really important with the people that are using the waterways to log those sightings, so they can do that via our website, and also be aware that they are wild animals, and if they do come and approach you, that's totally fine, and they love to have a bow ride, but really try and let them be wild animals and don't approach them. And the last thing is think about your plastics and your littering, so you won't be putting things into our environment that shouldn't be there.
So seagrasses are what people often think of as seaweed. So this is seagrass here, you can see. So there's very long, thin ribbons. So seagrass is important for 2 reasons. Firstly, it's important as a habitat for fish, and second, it's important because it helps maintain nice clear water. Many people may not like seagrass because it gets caught in their propeller, but it's actually providing a really important service to the ecosystem. So seagrass is found throughout the Gippsland Lakes, through Lake King, Lake Victoria. It's not found in Lake Wellington. Lake Wellington doesn't have enough light reaching the bottom. So this is one of the key things that seagrass need, is light. They're plants, obviously, so plants need light. So any water that's shallower than about 3 metres is typically where you'll find seagrass, and they also like a soft sediment, so a muddy or a soft or a fine sand is typically where you'll find them. So many species of fish rely on seagrass. For example, bream, juvenile bream, rely on seagrass for habitat. Luderick rely on seagrass as a source of food, and whiting also rely on seagrass habitats. One of the key ways of conserving seagrass is to maintain good water quality. So seagrass require light. If the water has a lot of algae growing in it, they don't get their light. The best way to prevent algal growth is to reduce nutrient runoff. So programs that help farmers reduce nutrient runoff, programs that help revegetate the catchment, are all contributing to seagrass health.
The seagrass-friendly moorings, as the word says, are moorings that have very low impact on the seafloor. Standard moorings have been around for a long, long time. They tend to be a heavy weight of some sort that's on the seafloor, and attached to that is a large section of heavy chain called a rode, and a lighter section of chain attached to that up to the surface of the water where there's a buoy that the boats hook up to. The rode section of the chain, the heavy chain down at the bottom, tends to act as a shock absorber for the boat. But it also has the effect that as the boat moves around with wind and with tide, it tends to sweep the seafloor clean of anything that's on it and just leaves a bare sand or mud wherever it's, depending where it's located. Seagrass friendly moorings raise all components of the mooring system other than the attachment, the very attachment to the seafloor, up above the seafloor, so there is no impact of the mooring tackle on the seafloor and on the seagrass that's there. In this particular project, we're going to install 10 seagrass friendly moorings. They'll generally be installed in locations that we've identified that are highly popular for boat users. Part of the program is not just installing these seagrass friendly moorings, it's also monitoring the recovery of the seabed around the moorings for the next 3 years of the funded program.